Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Sorry that this is coming out Sunday instead of Saturday like I usually do, but I had a little bit of a birthday celebration Friday and Saturday with a friend coming over, so I was a lot preoccupied and I had to kind of clean up my apartment and everything, so. But now here I am, ready for another video. And that video is going to be why the older Call of Duties do matter. Because they do more than people realize. And to give a little bit of context of my story with the older Call of Duties is I started playing around, I want to say, August of 2011 or July of 2011, where I played Black Ops 1 for the first time. And I remember trying Kino der Toten for the first time and just being completely, like, demolished, or not really demolished, but more terrified of the setting and everything. And I even remember I had some competition with one of my cousins at the time, and, you know, I lost terribly, but now if we had the rematch, I probably would kick his ass. Because, you know, a lot's changed. But in the case of this, that's when around the time I was exposed to Call of Duty, and I think it was a great Call of Duty to be exposed to. In Modern Warfare 3, it was just around the corner, so I consider that to be the first Call of Duty I bought at release, as well as Black Ops 2, and I think Ghosts I did as well, but that's... I actually don't know. I think maybe I waited just a bit to get that. But at least for Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, those are when I was exposed and played during the golden years of Call of Duty, and I just remember... I remember Black Ops 2 more, like, getting involved in the cycle over Modern Warfare 3, just because Modern Warfare 3 didn't have zombies. I still kind of participated in it, but I didn't buy, like, the DLCs as much as I had bought the Season Pass for Black Ops 2, so that's kind of my story and exposure. But during that time of Modern Warfare 3, I was also exposed to all the older Call of Duties, you know, World at War, COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, all those older Call of Duties, even down to COD 2. I was just in a weird Call of Duty phase, as well as with Battlefield at this similar time. But I digress. Regardless, that's my story when it comes to Call of Duty and, you know, where I started. And I think what made that era of Call of Duty so special, even like in retrospective, was, I guess to start off, COD 4 changed the formula, because Call of Duty 1, United Offensive, Call of Duty 2, and Call of Duty 3, they're all World War II games, and they're not bad games. I mean, COD 3 is the one that really kind of spoke that, like, hey, the World War II genre is getting a bit old. Why don't we try something different? Enter Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. And I think a lot of these games, they struck a chord with people because, you know, for the first time, we're going to a more modern setting that's mainstream and popular. I know there were other games that tackled it before, but we're talking like the one that actually pushed into mainstream and really got people's attention. And then it would continue. I mean, World at War would come out the next year, which was controversial because it was still a World War II game, but it knocked it out of the park and is probably the best Call of Duty World War II game we've gotten, and in my opinion, one of the best World War II games ever created. And then, you know, we have Modern Warfare 2, and then Treyarch wanted to do something different by going to the Cold War with Black Ops 1, and then you got Modern Warfare 3 to close out the trilogy, and so on and so forth with Black Ops 2, you know, the cycle. But aside from what COD 4 did, all of these Call of Duties that I mentioned, they did something special and different, and, you know, they broke the mold in certain ways. And, I mean, there was still controversy at a point. I think it was around Modern Warfare 3 where it really started becoming apparent of, are these the same game every year? I mean, there is some truth to that. Like, it's pretty clear and apparent, especially with those leaked developer builds been coming out recently. I don't know if you guys have been seeing that, but it's kind of interesting to see the development of Call of Duty. But in those builds, you do see reused assets and sounds, and that's not uncommon. Like, even the most popular and well-known games use reused assets just as placeholders, or sometimes they do the job well enough, they just tighten it up a bit and then go from there, because, you know, it saves some time and money to create assets. So I think that's where the devil's in the details, in that they were sometimes the same game every year, but not always. And I think, especially with recent ones, you know, there was cause for concern, but I don't think it really started becoming a real problem until much later in the Call of Duty cycle. And another thing that people bring up is that the Warzone 1 era of Call of Duty, you know, we're talking the Modern Warfare 19 to, I guess, Cold War era of Call of Duty. Like, people remember that so well. And I think the main reason that is because that Modern Warfare 19, as much as I despise that game, like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I hate that game. The credit I will give it is that at least it did a good job with the gunsmith and the graphics and art style. Like, it's aged gracefully compared to the newer Call of Duties. But at least with that one, it was changing the mold, and Warzone was this new big thing, and we were all, you know, cooped up in our houses because of, well, it was 2020. I don't need to just explain why that is. But, you know, we didn't have much to do. So a lot of people, I remember, even myself, though I was more playing the other modes of Warfare 19, but we're stuck and couldn't do anything. So, you know, Warzone is one I guess is remembered more fondly, and, you know, there were some cool updates here and there that did keep people engaged, and Cold War being thrown into the mix. While Cold War, I think, is better than Modern Warfare 19 in terms of gameplay and experience, and I feel like it's really the last Call of Duty that felt like a Call of Duty game. Like, say what you will about Cold War in terms of, like, how its graphics progressed, even in, like, those videos that I've seen of comparing details. At least Cold War still felt like a Call of Duty. It still had that, like, old school feel to it, and I could still find myself playing that Call of Duty at any point. And the zombies, I think, was solid enough all around, and I do like Outbreak, Bite Me, I do. I think that version just needed a little bit more tweaking. It could have been better. But overall, I think Cold War was a nice addition, and it added more to Warzone, despite them being on two separate engines. So I think that's why the Warzone 1 era is remembered fondly. You know, I think there was still some love there, despite the, you know, lockdowns and being kept inside. So there was still that level of just competence and passion on some level for the games. And I guess we could talk about why Vanguard, and even today, Call of Duty has really not been the same since. I mean, I know people like to say with Modern Warfare 22, you know, we're so back. No, Modern Warfare 22 was a terrible experience. They didn't even update the game much. It just kind of left it off to the sideline, and I jumped off that really quickly. A friend of mine bought a copy. And the Modern Warfare 23, I did get a free copy, so I did play that game. And I'm very glad my skins in 22 weren't to waste. And I did kind of go back to 22 last year just to try out some of the co-op and all that stuff that they had there, because there were some nice rewards. And the raids that they had there were cool. But overall, yeah, like, Modern Warfare 23, the zombies, I was really hoping they were going to expand upon it further, but they just threw that shit in the dirt, and it was just sad. Because there was a competent thing there. Like, I could see it working, and they could have made it work. Like, even those, like, post-apocalyptic style kind of maps that they released for multiplayer, they could have had them been round-based zombies maps. You could have just brushed them off. It would have been, like, something. It wouldn't have been, like, glamorous, but it would have been something cool. You could have made it work, but they didn't make it work. And then I didn't even bother with any Call of Duty after that. Like, Black Ops 6, I could give two shits about. And it seems like it's just getting worse with that game. Every time I hear about that game, there's something buggy or broken, and it's just like, yeah. It's the reason why I think Vanguard started this was Vanguard. What even was that game? It was trying to be a World War II game, but it had so much historical inaccuracies. You're just sitting there like, how did you oversight that? Like, how did you miss that? And, like, there's plenty of videos that could go more in depth, but it's so dumb. Even the reloads of the guns are bad, and it's just, the attaches, like, Vanguard, clearly you could tell they were just trying to cash in on the Warzone era and just try to make a World War II shooter work for the Warzone era with all the attachments, even if those attachments make no sense to come out during the time period. Like, Vanguard should have been an alternate World War II, and that, I think, would have been cool, a much more cooler concept, but, you know, here we are. And, you know, it just seems like it's just been a spiral downwards into the ground of just garbage, no passion, no care. And honestly, people like me just kind of fell off. Like, I don't really much care for the newer Call of Duties anymore, and as long as skill-based matchmaking exists, which I forgot to bring this up too, even in the original point, but I was keeping on the positives. But yeah, skill-based matchmaking and EOMM matchmaking are pretty much clear and apparent in these games, and they're making it worse. I mean, Zero Cinema even posted a video recently talking about how he literally turned off crossplay, and the game actually became fun with very little SPMM or EOMM. That's crazy to me to think about, that literally they turned it, it's turning off crossplay, matched you with a smaller group of people. I mean, even people are going back to Modern Warfare 23 and they feel the same sentiment. It just feels like there's less garbage having to funnel through of people, so the game is forced to lower the matchmaking. So if you want to play Modern Warfare 23, which I heard the multiplayer got really good towards the end, or if you're playing Black Ops 6, just turn off matchmaking. or sorry, crossplay rather. And I think that will help your experience. But again, watch Nero's video or watch other people, you know, breaking it down. I personally don't care. I've got other things to worry about in my life, and there's other cool, great games and experiences I can. But the last question I want to pose is, can COD come back? Like, is there a possibility that COD could come back to the franchise it once was? If you want my honest answer, no. I'm afraid Call of Duty, you know, these big gaming giants we had with Battlefield and Halo, and maybe I could talk about Halo and Battlefield in another video, but in my eyes, Call of Duty's over. As much as I want to say that Call of Duty could come back, look at what's happening now. As long as they keep the yearly releases, as long as they keep these engagement farming, matchmaking crap that's just not making it, you know, organic, but more artificial, just to squeeze money out of people, then it doesn't matter what they say in these videos or these talking points that these developers release every year. Call of Duty isn't back. You're telling me Black Ops 6 took 4 years to make? No, it didn't. Look at it. It's so buggy and has a mess of code. It was not made in 4 years. It was made in, like, less than 2. And that's all these games are. They're just made every single year, and it hurts the game. Even if there is a cycle, these games need to stop coming out every year. And I'm hoping the player base will one day realize that, but it just seems like people... It's like Madden. They keep buying it every year. And it's just like, I don't care. Just go away. These games are just a mess every year, and it's just... It always finds a way to follow me, and I'm just ignoring them the best I can. So, in my opinion, I don't think Call of Duty can come back, and I think just preserving the older games is what's more important. Like, the older Call of Duty games are just... They have that spark in them. That's what makes them special is they had something that they do uniquely, even if they were similar in certain other ways. But for the general and most part, they were their own thing. They brought something great to the table, and really, I think Black Ops 2 was the peak of it. I don't think Ghosts to Advanced Warfare, like that era, which I didn't talk about too much in this video, I don't think it's remembered nearly as fondly. Maybe individual games, but it's like that era, it was like some ups and downs. Like, whether it's with Modern Warfare 19 and Cold War, I feel was, you know, 2 ups back to back. But I mean, Ghost was kind of a flop. Advanced Warfare was solid, but then the loot boxes came in. Black Ops 3 was a huge success. But then it kind of went back down with World War II and then Infinite Warfare. And it's like, it's a weird era of Call of Duty where there were some highs, but then there were some lows. There was nothing consistent, but now Call of Duty's had even more lows. So I didn't touch that on this video, but I think that's just because it's just not an era that I think many people remember fondly, but who knows? If you guys remember that era fondly and want me to maybe talk more about that, I'd love to talk about that. But I just wanted to keep it these 2 eras to keep it simple. And this video is getting on long enough anyway, so I'd rather just keep it at that for now. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I'm sorry this came out Sunday morning, but I had some stuff going on with my birthday and cleaning things up, so you get a little special, a little bit longer video from me to make up for it. So, anyway, I'll be posting another video Tuesday, so once again, feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more from me. Let me know if you have any ideas, and again, let me know if you want me to talk about the Battlefield, Halo era, as well as even that little era from Ghosts to Infinite Warfare, that small era. Let me know if you want to hear more about that, and I could talk about my thoughts about that era. But like I said, just let me know if you want down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys Tuesday.